in the first week of starting the Slimming World journey, I gave up in my first week, which I didn't think I would. I started on the 1st of January 2017, and I think that was the Sunday. By the Wednesday, I'd so fed up. I didn't know what to cook. I didn't know where to go. I went and got kebab and chips from the kebab house here where I live. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing with myself? I spoke to my brother, and his friend lost 5 stone on Slimming World. And she said, come to my house, I'll talk you through what I eat. I went up, and then on the 8th of January 2017 to the 8th of January 2018, that's 5.5 stone, and just never looked back then. And I was like, I can get down to my healthy BMI, I can get down to my healthy PMI, and then I did that in 17 months.
Support for Slimming Stories is brought to you by Nicole Rivera's Stop Writing Alone podcast and writing community. Are you ready to stop writing alone but you don't know where to begin? At stopwritingalone.com, find the latest podcast episodes and writing prompt videos, or sign up for the email list to get those with live events and advice right to your inbox. If you're just feeling stuck on your first page and need a helping hand, feel free to DM Nicole on Instagram at Stop Writing Alone. Welcome back to another episode of Slimming Stories. I'm your host, Claire Oldham West. Got a fantastic guest lined up for you for today's episode. I've had a really busy week. Last week I was interviewing a guest in Melbourne, Australia. This week I've been interviewing a lady in New York and some other guests in the UK, and I've got a long line of list of guests waiting for me to edit and publish for the podcast. And if you've not yet subscribed, please hit subscribe, and that would really help me just to climb those podcast charts. Melanie is this week's guest for Slimming Stories, and she's lost a staggering amount of weight. She's dropped a dress size from a size 20 to 22 to a UK size 12 to 14, and she's found that after a gentle walk with a friend, where a friend decided to then go for a gentle jog, that she's taken up running. And I know this will help to inspire many people, so much so that, you know, Melanie's confidence just grew and is on the increase. She couldn't quite find the momentum to walk into a Slimming World class, but she has found the confidence to start running, and it's made a massive change in regards to her body shape, so much so that she found the confidence to book a flight and holiday to New York. Now, with everything that COVID has brought to her, she's not been able to take that trip, but that's something that is on the cards for next year. And this, for Melanie, will be her way of just celebrating her weight loss. So here's introducing Melanie to Slimming Stories. What made you and motivated you to make the changes that you've clearly made and have had success with?
I think for me, I was just always the big, bubbly, fat friend. It was just my way of coping and dealing with things, and it was mainly my way of hiding how unconfident I was and how unhappy I was.
Right.
Bad relationship, and it just got to a point I was like, I can't do this anymore. I want to be, you know, the healthy friend who is confident and who is happy and isn't hiding behind food all the time.
Which it's good, isn't it, for doing that. Food is definitely something that often in the past I've thought, thank goodness it's food and thank goodness it's not, you know, drugs or alcohol. At least it's something that's kind of like, in a way, socially acceptable, in a way, although I know I'm not doing my body a great service by overeating, at least it's not something that could really make life difficult for me. So with food being your comfort, how did it feel when during those moments of crisis you turned to food? If you just want to talk through what it felt like to, I don't want to say purge, that sounds really dramatic, doesn't it? But I know that I've had periods where I've had a binge, and a binge could last a day, it could last an hour, it could last 4 weeks.
Is this before starting Slimming World, or would this be like after? Because I think I've dealt with it in different ways both times, where before I just ate whatever I wanted. I would miss breakfast, I would miss lunch, I'd have a full fat can of Coke at afternoon break with a chocolate bar, and then I would go and get a takeaway in the evenings. That was kind of my really bad habits. But when I started Slimming World, it was more, I'm going to have a good lunch, I'm going to have a good breakfast, I'm going to have a good dinner, and it stopped me wanting to snack because I was full. I was happy and full up. I didn't need it. I wasn't craving rubbish food because I had had a good snack. So an apple instead of a full chocolate bar. And when I say chocolate bar, I mean family-sized chocolate bar.
Yeah, we don't take the small ones, do we?
Yeah, no, definitely not. No. So it does depend on what mindset I was in.
I think I've always been healthy. Like my parents have taught me what a healthy meal is. It wasn't, I can't give the excuse that I was brought up on like over processed food and we didn't have proper meals, because we did. We always used to have big family meals that involved vegetables, and I was always encouraged to do those things. But I found that along with that, from probably for as long as I can remember, there would be days when I just thought, well, I'm going to have that, but on top of that, I'm going to have chocolate, but I'm not just going to have one chocolate bar, maybe I'm going to have three. And then there were times where I don't know why, but I just got into this pattern of having a full on binge. And sometimes it would be secretly eating, because I knew my mum would go crazy if she knew exactly how much I was eating. So can you relate to that?
Yeah, I hid my food, and I would say, oh, I don't eat a lot, I don't eat much, but then I'd eat a 12-inch pizza without even questioning it. Go and order a pizza, 12-inch pizza, bring it home, eat it, and no one would know, because I lived on my own for a while, so no one knew. It was, I can be like, oh no, God, I don't eat anything, I don't know why I'm putting on weight, and I would hide it. But then people knew, I think, but they just didn't say anything. It's a really difficult situation, I think. I'm definitely an emotional, and I was a secret eater completely.
And I think people don't say anything because, one, they don't want to insult you and they care for you. These are conversations you have with people close to you, aren't they? And they don't want to say anything, and they don't want to challenge that. But secretly eating is something that can be quite costly, can't it? It can be quite costly, and in the moment it's a spot, and then afterwards you kind of look around, don't you, and think, what have I just done?
Yeah. And you do think, what have I just done? But it's done, you can't change it.
Yeah.
Where then I would then take it out on myself and not eat for a day, and I would go the opposite way, because I'd be like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, you didn't need that, and then for a whole day I wouldn't eat anything.
And how long did this pattern continue?
I think from teenage years up until when I started Slimming World, so a long time.
So it's a habit, isn't it, that's taken a while to grow, if you like, and it's a habit that you potentially fed, obviously allowed this habit to continue, like a lot of binge eaters do, and a lot of people that struggle with food issues do, and to kind of challenge that can be hard in itself, can't it? Never mind putting any healthy eating plan into place, which always like kind of amazes me when I see these magazines, or buy this book or read this magazine. I'm thinking, for somebody like like myself, who's really had problems with the weight issues, it takes a lot more, doesn't it, just to get a book and read it? Because to be honest, most people know exactly what they need to be doing, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I think it takes something like Slimming World or another diet to make you understand the difference. Like calories is quite a scary situation, because a lot of people don't understand what calories are. They don't know how many that they should be eating. But with Slimming World, it's, you allow this many sins a day. If you really, really want that chocolate bar in the evening, don't have anything else beforehand.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot more understanding for people. It's easy to understand, sorry. So they know, oh, do you know what, actually, I'll have my fruit for breakfast, I'll have my omelette for lunch, but after my dinner, when I've had my chicken or whatever they're having, I'm going to have my Whisper bar that's this many sins, or my Curly Whirly, which is this many sins. And it's just easy to understand. And I think that's why a lot of people have had success with it. Obviously, Instagram, you can see all the successes.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So during your teens, when you said that this first started, how did you first notice that maybe your habits around food were different to your friends or your families?
I think probably when I was about 15, maybe, I noticed, like, I was always the bigger girl. I was always overweight, but I was always praised with food.
Right.
And I think that just stayed in my mind, like, oh, well done, have this, or well done, have this, or oh, we'll have a takeaway because this, we'll have a takeaway because this has happened.
Yeah.
Which I think, which is where it came from. And I think I've recognised about 15, 16 when I noticed for me, but it's just couldn't stop it.
No. And I think celebration food is something that's part of our culture, isn't it? Part of the Western culture. And it's something that comes along with birthdays and then Valentine's Day. Let's go out for a meal. Everything's around food, isn't it? And for somebody that struggles, it's hard, isn't it? So how did you find those celebrations for you when part of you was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm given a free rein to eat, but really I don't want to be eating this?
Once I started Slim World, I would eat something and be like, oh, I didn't enjoy that, and I wouldn't finish it. Where before, even if I didn't enjoy it, I would just eat it anyway and continue eating it. Like sweets or chocolates, I didn't really like that chocolate bar, but I carried on eating it because it was there and it was easy. But my first year, I didn't have any gains in my first 12 months. And that was over a Christmas period. So my first 12 months, I lost 5.5 stone.
Wow.
And that went over Christmas. So I started the 1st of January 2017, and by the following year, I'd lost 5.5 stone. No gains at all in that whole year. And I'd had my birthday, Valentine's Day, my partner's birthday, a surprise 30th birthday, and I managed to keep it a maintain or a loss every week. That was the hardest year, I would say, because I was like so focused. I didn't want to go out to eat. I didn't want to have a takeaway or a Chinese or a pizza. I was very strict on myself. And in the first week of starting the Slim World journey, I gave up in my first week, which I didn't think I would. I started on the 1st of January 2017, and I think that was the Sunday. By the Wednesday, I'd so fed up. I didn't know what to cook. I didn't know where to go. I went and got kebab and chips from the kebab house where I live. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing with myself? Spoke to my brother, and his friend had lost 5 stone on Slimming World. And she said, come to my house. I'll talk you through what I eat. I went up, and then on the 8th of January 2017 to the 8th of January 2018, that was 5.5 stone, and just never looked back then. And I was like, I can get down to my healthy BMI, I can get down to my healthy PMI, and then I did that in 17 months.
My goodness, that is such an achievement, and what a fantastic invite for you to receive. That really was life-changing for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the sense of community is lovely. So you've got that through your friendship, but it's also great on Instagram, isn't it? I find that I get a lot of support on Instagram from people. It's not necessarily about people that are on the Slimming World, but I think it's just people being open to have an honest conversation on Instagram, on social media. And I know there's lots of bad stuff on there as well. But I think when you start following someone and you kind of get a grasp of what somebody's about, it's nice just to be able to share those times where you're like, okay, so this event's coming up, and what do I do?
Yeah, a lot of people I find on Instagram, they'll be like, I'm going to this restaurant for my friend's birthday, what would you have? Like, what would be the best meal to have to stay on plan? And I think a lot of people on that situation, they're so supportive. And they're like, oh, that's really nice that you want to stay on plan. If I went to a Chinese, this is what I have. Or if I'd go to an Indian, this is what I have. Instead of saying, oh, I don't do things like that, it's nice when people are honest and open and say, actually, do you know what? When I go to an Indian, I go out all out and I have everything that I want on the menu, because I know for the next 14 days, I'm not going to do it. So it is the community of Instagram makes it all better. Like, I've met a really good friend on there. She lives 4 hours away from me, but we talk all the time. She sends me Christmas cards, birthday cards, and I do the same to her, which is really nice.
Oh, that's
and
lovely.
That's someone that I've never met her before in my life.
It's almost like a pen friend, isn't it?
Exactly that. And someone who's been through the same kind of journey, who's now into her exercise the same as I'm into my exercising. You do get that family connection as well from people on there, which is always nice.
Definitely. in January 2017, you had that blip, and then you had that visit, didn't you? So take me through that conversation. So I want to be a fly on the wall in that room. What conversations did you have around food, and what opened your eyes to realise that this is something that you could do?
She basically just sat me down and said, like, can you tell me last week, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, what did you eat for you to cave on the Wednesday? And I said, like, I had one slice of brown bread with one egg on top of it. And she said, well, that's not enough food to keep you going until lunchtime. If you're eating at 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to be starving by a certain point and you're not going to be able to continue. So she said, like, have more, have 2 slices of brown bread with 3 eggs on top to keep yourself full up for longer. And I was like, oh, that's too many. I can't have that. I'm meant to be on a diet, you know. And she's like, no, have some bacon, chuck some eggs in there. And I was like, oh, no, I can't have that. But she said, on Slimming World, you can have bacon. It's free. You can have this, which is free, and this, which is free. And I was like, how can it? I don't understand. And she just gave me all of her books. She sat and went through what I was allowed to eat, what she would eat. And I was like, oh my God. So I haven't really eaten a lot over those 3 days. And she said, no, I hadn't eaten and nowhere near enough food, which is what happened. And then on the Sunday, I weighed again. And on the 8th of January, I weighed again. And then in the first week, I lost 6 pounds.
Goodness.
And that was her saying, have a bit more food, have an apple with your breakfast, or with your lunch, have this. And from then, I just never looked back. It's like the best conversation I had with her. And it really put focus on it, that I could do something like that. And to be fair, my goal was never to lose nearly 7 stone. That wasn't my goal. My goal was just to lose a couple of stone. And then it just come off easier than what I thought it was going to. My partner was very supportive. He sat in the background.
Okay.
Hi,
partner.
Yeah, like, hi. And he was, very supportive. But I put on 2.5 stone when we met. So I was always a big girl anyway. We got together and we were having takeaways a couple of times a week, pizza, Chinese. And I remember getting on the scales in the December thinking, what have I done? Like, what have I done? Like, my clothes were tight. And then that's why I think in the January, I was like, right, I need to get this weight off that I put on. Yeah. And then I got that off, and then more fell off, and then a bit more fell off. And then my partner's like, do you want a Chinese? I'm like, no, I really want to make this curry that someone put on their Instagram or someone put on their Pinterest or Facebook. And then we just started eating at home so much more. The weight kept falling off. And then when I started running, more weight fell off. And I was like, oh, I can do this. I can get down to a healthy BMI. And then I did. And I did it. And I was like, wow. And then I got made redundant. And I put a bit of weight on because I was very sad. I know, and I went to food, and then I put 2 stone back on, and I've lost a stone, so I've now got about a stone to go to get back to what I was.
So how does it feel now to be in control and having had that like light bulb moment, almost as if, right, okay, I don't need to do a diet as I know a diet to be, from obviously you'd learned behaviors before and you learned information, if you like, on media. What was it like knowing that you could have 2 slices of toast with 3 eggs on and add bacon and all these foods that you know as obviously a Slimming World member that you can have without feeling like you need to go hungry, because you don't, do you? There's no need to go hungry at all. Just talk me through how that actually felt, having had these years of struggling with food and now knowing that you can eat and be full and be satisfied.
It's happiness for food, of knowing that I can have 2 slices of bread, some bacon, some eggs, some mushrooms, and enjoy a breakfast without thinking, oh, that's way too much food on the plate. I shouldn't be eating that much. Like, I'm on a diet. I should only have half a slice of toast, half an egg, half a sausage. It was, you can eat, be full, and not binge and not crave any bad food, because most of Slimming World meals, you can have a curry, you can make pizza, you can make kebabs, and you can have everything that everyone else is having. And if you want a treat, have a treat on your birthday, have a treat at the weekends, but you don't need to let it continue the whole week. But I have cheap food on a Sunday, but Monday to Saturday, I am very much on it. My partner would be like, "Do you want some sweets?" I'm like, "No, I'm all right," because I had what I wanted on Sunday.
Yeah.
In my head on the Monday, I'm like, right, what do I fancy next Sunday? Oh, I really fancy mint chocolate, or I really fancy a scone with jam and cream or something. But I make sure I fancy it the week before. So I've got all week, oh yeah, I can't wait to have that on Sunday when when I've weighed and when I'm, so it is that thing of knowing that you can have everything within your sins or within your calories, whichever diet you're doing, and know that the next day, have a good breakfast, have a good lunch, have a good dinner, and just get back on it.
Absolutely. And I think to have had a successful year like your first year and not to have any gains, I think you're the second guest that has actually said that, and I think it might have been Ashley that we spoke about before we started recording. And
She's good.
She's an amazing lady. And
yeah,
I mean, goodness, when I know that when I'm in a group setting at Slimming World, we talk about the challenges that we've got. And I know that for me, birthdays, or if I'm having a weekend away with my husband, or if I'm working away with my day job, I know they're like the times that, well, okay, I might commit to and maintain, or, I don't expect to do those things and still have a big weight loss, or any weight loss really. So what allowed your focus to be on it to that extent where you didn't cave at those birthdays, you didn't go for that birthday cake or the wine or whatever? What was it? Just pull me into that story about your focus at that time.
I don't drink alcohol. I'm pretty much teetotal. I haven't drank for 2 years, just because I don't enjoy it. It's not something that I think of, but food is my go-to. I would say that I would try and have something I fancied every day at the start. So on, like, when we were away for my birthday in the February, I was like, oh, I know there's going to be a gain on the scales when I get back. It's my birthday week. I'm going to enjoy it. But we went out for dinner and I had steak, I had vegetables, I had new potatoes, and we shared a dessert. So I still had what I wanted, but just less of it.
Right.
And better choices. If I'd normally gone out, I would have probably had the unhealthiest meal, like the fattest lasagna with extra garlic bread and extra salad and chips on the side. But I wanted to lose weight still. My mind had just completely changed. I was like, I don't want to, I want to be the healthy person that I can be. And it was just that mindset of, I can do this. I've done it for 3 months already. I can do it through my weekend away. And I got back, I think it was on the Sunday morning. Was it Saturday? It might have been the Saturday I got home. I weighed on the Sunday and it said maintain. And I was like, flipping heck, how's that happened? Yeah. I was like, I don't believe it, because we'd had some mini eggs. We'd had a little bit of chocolate that I wouldn't have normally allowed myself. But we had walked miles and miles and miles. So that would have worked off the few mini eggs that I'd had. I can't even explain what happened. It was just, this is what I want to do. And that's what my head was into it then.
And it's great that happened for you, because there's so many people that start in January. And do you actually go to a group, or is it online?
I don't.
You don't go to a group, right?
No, don't go to a group.
So for an actual group, I know that in the past, my group on the first week of January, it's chaos. It's so busy until we get into February, and that's simply because I think people have had that time, haven't they, where they've eaten a lot of food, they've recognised that they need to do something. Exactly, or people that have got a genuine, historic problem with their food, and they maybe need to lose a lot of weight, and then a couple of weeks in, the momentum's gone, the mojo's well and truly lost, and they can't connect with it. But the fact that you was able to do that for a full year now, I'd imagine that the more the months went by and you didn't have a gain, I guess that in a way, did that motivate you just to continue, because just to prove to yourself that you can keep doing it?
My first month I lost a stone. So in 4 weeks weigh-ins at home on a Sunday, I lost 1 stone. And that moment, I was like, I'm going to put it on my personal Instagram account. So from my 4 weeks until I think it was 77 week, I put every single week on my personal Instagram of what I'd lost and if I'd maintained. And in my head, it was, you're not allowed a treat on Sunday if you don't maintain or lose. I wasn't allowed my Cadbury's cream egg on the Sunday morning. I wasn't allowed any cheats on that Sunday unless I'd lost or maintained. So every Sunday I would weigh. If it was a loss, whatever it was, I put it on my Instagram, which week it was, how much I'd lost to date. And it was every Sunday then for 70, I think it was like 77 weeks, I think it worked out to be in the end. And that was my motivation. All my friends were commenting, going, well done. The support I had was amazing. And I think it was last year I set up my Slimming World account because all my friends were like, oh, you should have a Slimming World account. You know, you're inspirational. You should do it. And I was like, all right then. And I set it up, and it's just gone a bit crazy. Yeah. So it's been nice to have the support from both sides. Definitely. And meeting new people from it as well.
Exactly. And I think interviewing people and hearing their stories and hearing different stories, and obviously everybody brings a new story and a new insight. It helps me just to keep my focus. And I think, you know, if we could sell that focus, it would be priceless, wouldn't it? It really would be.
It'd be worth millions. We would be worth millions if we could sell that.
We would be. So you mentioned that obviously you had the redundancy and the weight gain because you turned to food at that time, which is understandable because we recognise what's helped us in the past, and our brains think, okay, this is happening, we need to do this to provide that comfort. But I think what's lovely about that is that you've got back on track. You know you can do it, and I think when these things come up, whatever, you know, the issue is, whether it's grief or loss of whatever, you know, whatever we're going through emotionally, it's great to know that we can still get back on it and pick up that resolve. So at that point that you felt really, really rubbish about having lost your job and having those difficulties, how long did it take you to make that decision that you wasn't going to go back to your previous weight?
I think with running, it changes your whole mindset. So I started running more, and that then changed my food habit again. So I started running. I stopped running for a while. I had a knee injury, and then I was just like, I can't, you know, I can't keep eating rubbish and not exercising. So I let my knee recover, and then I just started running again. And it just gives you all the endorphins that you need. And then I was like, right, okay, let's have a look on Instagram. Let's see what new recipes are online. Let's try the sticky beef, or let's try the Mayflower curry. Let's get back on it. And like next week, I want to try 3 different new meals. And then, I really enjoyed that meal. I'll try that again next week. Or I really enjoyed that one. I'll try that again. And you start eating something you enjoy again, because you get bored of the same foods week in, week out, which will make you go back to old habits. So every now and again, look for some new recipes, and you'll be amazed how great it feels. KFC chicken, I've had people send me like, oh, you need to try this, and I'm like, yeah, I will. I'll give that a go. Still need to do the Dorito chicken, so I will do that one day, but I haven't got around to it yet.
There's so many, isn't there, to try? There's so many. For anybody listening who's overweight or they've just started their slimming journey, we're starting talking about running, you know, they might be listening to this thinking, I thought this was a slimming podcast. So running, I totally hear what you're saying. I 100% agree with you. There's something magical about running. At your previous weight, how likely would you have been to have gone for a run?
No chance. There'd be more chance of seeing a pig fly than seeing me run when I was back at my heaviest weight. Yeah, you would have, there'd be a pig flying, but no, definitely not, no. It gave me the confidence, losing the weight gave me the confidence to go for a walk with one of my friends who had a dog, and then we started walking. I'd go over, we'd go for a long walk, and she's like, oh, have you ever tried running? And I was like, no, not for me. And then she was like, oh, I'm just going to jog with the dog. I was like, all right, I'll see you around home then. So she'd go for a jog, and then I'd be like, oh, don't leave me behind. And it just went from there. So it would have not happened if I was at my heaviest weight, but it was only once I'd got 5 stone off before I'd even looked at running. It was more, the first year was all about losing weight. It was after that I did the running.
Definitely. I think it's I don't know, I love music. That is something that, you know, I'm not that into TV at the moment, especially with doing the podcast and one thing, but for me music is massive. And I think to be able to go for a run, put on some music that you love and just take off, it's a freeing thing. But it's also, I think when you first start, it can be quite daunting to know that you're jumping around and people can see you jumping around. And a lot of listeners might be thinking, well, why in the hell am I going to put myself through this public humiliation of starting to learn to run?
Yeah.
So what do you think you could do to inspire people just to start to do that?
I think the people that can go to a class every week have got a lot of, I was going to say a lot of balls, but that's not really what
That's
they've
fine.
got a lot of, yeah, they've got a lot of balls to go to a class, but I never had that. I wasn't confident enough to go to a class. If they can go to a class and they get the support that they need, they will go far. It'd be like a duck to water. As soon as they're there and they start talking to other people and understanding that it's not a diet, it's a healthy way of eating and a way to enjoy your life. It's not that, oh, you can't have that, you can't have that, you can't have that with Slimming World. It's like, if you have that, you can't have that, or have some cheese on your toast. Where other diets would be like, no, this, no that, which is why Slimming World works for people. Exactly.
And with the running, what could you advise somebody to take up running? What advice would you give to somebody listening that, okay, has heard what you've had to say and perhaps have heard my other guests and what they've explained about running? What hidden gem would you like to offer around running? I think for that first run, I felt really out of my depth 100%, because it wasn't necessarily, am I going to be off to run? It was, can I breathe? Can I run? Can I breathe? How can I run and not stop? And the big thing for me was definitely, what is anybody going to think when they're driving past in their car and see me bobbling up and down with all my blubber and excess weight? What are people going to think? And how do you get past that thing of being conscious around somebody else's thoughts about how you look?
I always had a Harrier, which is my friend. My Harrier basically was like, no one's watching you, just get on with it, you know, I'm here with you, we can do this together. And we used to run around a park to get my confidence up, and then there would be a bit where she would take me out near a road, but then it would take us out to a road and back in. So by the time I worked up to running a 5k, I had been by roads but not really paid much attention that I'd been near a road.
Yeah,
it was more around like through parks where there was people walking, running, cycling, and I just got so much out of it. I didn't care by the end.
No.
By the end of the walk run that we were doing at the beginning, by the time I got to the end of that walk run, it was like, oh, I feel amazing, this feels great, I don't care what anyone else thinks.
Brilliant. And have you had support from your family and your partner throughout all this? You mentioned that, I think probably like similar to my husband, it'll be okay, let's get a takeaway. And then when I recently gave up chocolate, it was like, so now Lent's finished, you're gonna start to eat the chocolate. So what kind of support did you get from your partner? Because I think, like you mentioned before about, you know, you're a new couple, you put 2 stone on weight. I think a lot of people can relate to that story. Absolutely. I think, you know, when you kind of, you're in love, you're all loved up, and then it's like, let's do all the homely things, like let's get in and eat this takeaway.
I think at the beginning it was just so new and it was so nice. We were going out for dinner with friends, we were having takeaways at home, we were doing everything that every normal couple would do at the beginning, going to the cinema and eating 2 big bags of chocolate while we're at the cinema. But as soon as I said I'm not happy, he said, what do you want to do about it? What do you want to do? Do you want to go to a class? Do you want to go with your friend to her class? And I was like, just don't think I've got the confidence to go to a class. And he said, well, what do you want to do then? He said, whatever you decide, I will support you. And it went from there. I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, my scales still work in my bathroom, let's do it. And ever since then, he just, every day, even if he'd had his children, he would message me on the Sunday, like, what happened? You know, have you lost? Have you gained? What have you done? And then when he was here on the weekends, he didn't have his children, I would be, oh, I've lost this. And he's like, oh, well done. You can have your chocolate today then. So he's just been, he has been very supportive. And if, for instance, he wanted a takeaway and I didn't, he wouldn't have one. There were times where he sat and ate a pizza in front of me, and I was just like, I love pizza. That is like my favorite. A roast dinner and a pizza are my favorite food.
Yeah.
And he sat and ate a pizza one day,
God.
and I was just like, oh God, I just can't. And I was like, no, do you know what? I'm weighing in the morning. I know I can weigh in the morning. I've had an amazing week. I don't need that pizza. I had one mouthful that night and gave him back the slice and was like, right, you can have the pizza now. And that next morning, I think I had a £3 loss.
Wow.
And like you do the little happy dance of like, oh, I've lost £3. If I'd had half that pizza last night, there would have been a gain on that scale.
Exactly. That's brilliant.
But yeah, he has been through the last 3 years. I'm just coming into my 3rd year, and he's just been amazing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Can't fault it. Even his children would say, oh, what are you having on cheat day? Or we'd be walking around and they'd be having their sweets or their chocolate, and they'd be like, do you want some chocolate? And I'm like, no, thank you. And the boys would both go, oh, it's cheat day yet, isn't it? So like even they would know what days it was cheat day. So that was great. But yeah, support from everybody, my father, my brother, everybody.
That is great to hear. It's nice to have the family on board, isn't it? Absolutely. And you need them, don't you? Especially when you're going through times and you're struggling, like you said, is lovely to hear. And it's nice to know that you've got each other just to encourage each other. So with the running, with your newfound confidence with running, will that allow you to join a group, or are you still happy to go with things online?
No, I'm happy with doing it how I am. I still haven't, like, I can run, well, I've got to get back to it, but I can run a 10K, but I still haven't got a confidence to walk into a Slimming World group. I don't know why. I just don't have that confidence.
Oh, bless you.
No,
it's working for you, isn't it? The online is definitely working for you. And why change it if that's working for you? If you're running, have you got anything planned? I know that obviously we're in lockdown, but do you take part in any of the races?
I've done a park run last year and I hated it.
Okay.
I like going out, like you said, put your headphones in, enjoy the exercise, enjoy the fresh air. But at a park run, there was just people everywhere. But I promised myself I would do a park run, and I'd done my park run. I did it in like 29 minutes, and I was so happy. I've done it now. Since lockdown, I've ran 15 miles a week since we've been in lockdown. So that's 5 weeks now, and I've run 15 miles each week.
Brilliant.
I get up in the mornings, get ready, go for my run at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm home by 7:15, get some breakfast, and then start work.
And is that your daily routine then, or do you just run so many times a week?
I used to run every other day after work, but I started running in the mornings just because I'm working from home. Yeah. It just gave me that freedom to get up in the mornings and just go without having to then think I've got to do it when I finish work at 5:30, or it's so fresh in the mornings. It's so peaceful, and it's just, it gave me a good kick up the backside that I needed.
I think running in the morning is it's like a meditation. I don't know if you're like me, but I drive everywhere, and to get up and get that run done without overthinking it. It's kind of a case, right, I get up, have a drink, have a little bit of something before I go out, so I have to get up that bit earlier, but just to go and get that done, and it almost gives you like a boost for the day. And I don't know if it's the cold air or the fact that it's so peaceful, but it can be it's quite an experience, isn't it?
Yeah, the music, I think, is a definite one you go to. You put something on that's upbeat, that's something that's going to give you that boost to go. Like, I remember a song came on and I was starting to drag, and I was like, it's only half a mile to go, and this song came on, and then all of a sudden I was like bouncing away, and I was like, oh, I'm on my 3 miles now, I can stop. But that song gave me that boost. So good music does help.
It really does.
Definitely.
And you mentioned at the start, the started your journey at a size 2022, and that you're now between a 12 and a 14. So well done you. That is amazing, brilliant, absolutely fantastic news to hear that you've conquered that. Being a size 20 to 22 and shopping as a 12, 14 must be a totally different experience. If you just want to talk about how that feels now compared to shopping in your larger size.
Like, you go into a shop now, and instead of having to go right to the back, you're like, oh, I can pick up something that's close to the front. Or my partner will pick something up and go, what do you think of this? And I'll be like, don't think that'll suit me. And he'll be like, just go and try it on, see what you think. And I've tried things on and I've gone, oh, I actually quite like that on me now. My legs aren't as big as what they used to be. That looks quite nice on me. And it's that confidence thing that you think, oh, actually, I can fit into that size 12 skirt that I bought. And I actually feel confident in that skirt. Where before, you wouldn't see me in a skirt. I'd be in jeans or baggy bottoms, so no one could really see, you know, or all black. I know I'm in black today, but like all black jeans, black tops, black coats. Now, like, I've bought colours that are so bright, even I think, Christ, you can see her coming. But it is nice to be able to walk in and not have to go to the bigger sizes and pick up something that you wouldn't normally wear.
And have you noticed a difference with the exercise, with your actual body shape? Do you feel that has made a difference? I know that when sometimes people have had a larger amount of weight to lose, they notice difference with the skin and the texture of the skin. And I know lifting weights and especially running with the arms can really help with that, can't it?
Yeah, I think since running, I've actually fell in love more with my legs than I've never liked my legs. My legs have always been one of the ones I hated. But since I've started running, my legs have changed completely. And I'll wear a pair of jeans that are really, really tight. And I'll be like, oh, my legs look all right in that photo. I put a picture on my story a couple of weeks ago when we had the nice sun. I had a little pair of shorts on. And I put them on my story and I had people messaging me going, oh, my God, you've got such nice legs. You should get them out more often. And I'm like, that's the worst thing about me. What are you talking about? So that's nice to have someone comment on something that you hate about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we spoke a lot about confidence, haven't we? About not having the confidence and not feeling that you can walk into a group. So this community of Instagram and receiving these lovely compliments back, does it feel kind of strange receiving those compliments? And how do you receive compliments now?
I still don't take them very well. I tend to laugh quite a lot off and go, thanks. Yeah, thanks for that. But I am learning, like if my partner goes, oh, that looks really nice on you, or that dress looks really nice on you. I went to a friend's wedding a year ago. It'll be 2 years in May. And I wore this dress and I literally felt amazing. And I walked in and I seen people I've not seen for ages, and they're just all like, wow, she looks like, oh my God, you look amazing. And I'm like, oh, thanks, you know, but I'm just don't really know how to take a compliment.
Well, I think having gone through your Instagram account and on this interview, obviously we're doing a Zoom call and I can see your reflection. You look beautiful, you look stunning.
Oh, you.
And, you know,
thanks.
A lot of people have lost weight and you just wouldn't think that you've ever had an issue with your weight. And I think how you present yourself, and to me, you look like a confident person. And then to hear people open up saying that they have these issues with confidence, and I think with losing weight and getting hold of the exercise like you have, I think this confidence will just grow. So is there anything in the future that you're thinking about that you never would have dreamed of doing that you'd like to do now that this weight is off and you've got control over it?
I was meant to fly out to New York last week. That was meant to be like one of the big things of like, I've lost all this weight, I'm flying to New York, I'm not going to need a seatbelt extender, I'm going to be able to sit on my seat and not roll over to the other seats, and the belt will fit me, and I'll, you know, and that was something that gave me like the confidence to book the holiday, because I knew that I'd be able to go and have the confidence to walk around New York City in hundreds and hundreds of miles, hopefully, get my body magic in, as they say, but enjoy that experience without thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to get on the plane seat, or I'm not going to be able to sit in a booth at one of the restaurants because I'm not going to be able to fit. So that helps. That was definitely my congratulations, you've lost a lot of weight situation.
Brilliant. And that will happen. Not at the moment, it won't happen there, but it will happen. And I can't wait to see those photos of you.
I'll be like, New York City.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my fellow podcasters who is in my mastermind group, Nicole, she lives in New York, and
nice.
I'll have to find out the go-to places She'll know all the
I've got-
secrets that the tourists don't normally hear about. So I have to find that out for you and let you know.
Yes, please. That would be great. One thing I did want to say to you, after I'd lost, I think I'd hit target in 2018, and I said to my nan, we were sat having a conversation, and I said to her, Nan, was I always fat? And she looked at me and she went, no, not always. I was like, thanks. Like, not in like a nasty way, but she's like, no, not always, but you know, you have been fat. That just yeah, it was just the way, it was just so innocent. It came out of, no, you weren't always fat, you just got fat. That made me laugh.
I think relatives of a certain age come without a filter, don't they, really? Which is nice in a way, and funny.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm funny. Yeah, it did make me laugh. Yeah.
Oh, bless you. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with me today, Melanie. It's been a treat.
Thank you.
And I definitely think it'll motivate people, and it's what we need. It's a bit of inspiration, a bit of banter just to help us along the way through these.
My heart's like beating really fast.
Is it? Oh, there we are, body magic.
Yeah, I was like, oh god, my heart's beating so fast, it's scary.
No, you've done fantastic, and I know this will speak to a lot of people that are in a similar situation, and just having the success that you've had it's phenomenal, and can't wait to publish this and for everyone to hear. It will be exciting. Thank you for joining me today, and take care, Melanie. Thank you,
Claire. And you, take care. Have a nice weekend.
If this week's episode has been really inspiring for you, if you can really relate to everything that Melanie's had to say, you can follow Melanie on Instagram, and you'll find her there at Melly_SW_. I'll drop the spelling on the show notes, so wherever you listen to your podcasts, if you look at the show notes, you'll find the spelling there. And Melly's spelled MELLIE. You know, we're coming out of lockdown. Well, for me, I'll be going back to work very, very soon. But there's some parts of the UK that are being restricted, and it's all still a little bit up in the air. If you feel that you do want to move more, but you can't get back to the gym, and you really are kind of somebody that goes to the gym or attends the classes and loves a group setting, then please consider running, you know, or even walking. Anything where you can put some good music on and just kind of lose yourself in that moment. Melanie has found that running has really helped her with the shape, and it just clears your mind, and God only knows we need that, don't we, right now. We really need to be able to have a clear mind. There's lots of negative vibes going around, and it's just nice just to lose yourself in that moment. And I think for me, running, and for my friends that I run with, it's just something that helps to focus them back on whatever their intentions are. And it might be that, you know, they're not necessarily weight loss. It might be that perhaps they're worried about the job, or maybe they're worried about the kids and the homeschooling. And I think running is something that just allows you just to kind of get out and just free your mind for that little bit. And it is quite it just kind of provides you with a state of some sort of like meditation, and that you just lose those thoughts, lose those negative thoughts that can be holding you back and weighing you down. So I'll definitely try it. I'll definitely give it a go. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We've had some slight technical interruptions, as you can hear on this episode, but as I keep saying, I'm not in a posh BBC studio. I record this from a converted what is this, utility room. That's it, a converted utility room, and it's just me, and I do all the editing. So thank you for hanging in to the end if you're listening to this, and I'll catch you next week with more episodes to help inspire you through your weight loss and fitness journey. So until then, take care.